We've had a request from a GCAD Plus user in the United States, wants some help with copying a deposit plan accurately. So the image up here shows the plan of the site, and we can enter values in. If I zoom in, the top boundary of the site is 238.94 with a single quote, which means 238.94 decimal feet. So how do we draw that site up? Well, importantly, you must start with the polyline command. So we'll say draw polyline. We can start anywhere, but for convenience right now, and I've changed my drawing color to green so that you can see what's going on, we're going to start at the end point. Now we know that this line, this polyline segment now, is 238.94, and you've noticed down here in the status line I've turned ortho on, so we can only draw orthogonal. So 238.94 and hit enter, and the green line now goes over. Because ortho's on, I can move down in this direction and type the next length, 146.99, 146.99, hit enter, and that neatly covers that up. And we go in the left direction now, 270.66, 270.66. Now this is a polyline, and I'm now going to take ortho off. What I want to do is to close it. I have no information about the angle down in this area here, so I'll right click, and what I want to do is enter close. That's just going to do the geometry for me and close this polyline, and there it is. So we can, if I select it, see it's one entity sitting directly over the other one. If I now go to settings, turn on object snap and endpoint, what I want to demonstrate is that details that you're given are not always as accurate as we would like in the CAD world. So I could say measure from the end here, and this should read 238.94, and notice 238.94 at my crossover. We'll call the distance command up again and start there. This should read 146.99, and it does. Distance from here to here, 270.66. So everything's going perfectly well. We have accurately drawn the site. Where it is in error is, and this must have come from the original survey, it looks to me as though there's actually a kink in that boundary. So the 150.65 is not necessarily from that corner across as we've done on a close. So if I say distance from the end there to the end there, 150.34. So it's slightly out, 0.65 of a foot versus 0.374 of a foot. So we've got a pretty accurate representation of this site, but do be a little bit careful and double check and triple check your work when you're taking measurements like this and creating a base plan. Well, we are trying to build a base map using a combination of a deposit plan or a site information plan, here seen on the left, and we've managed to create one from the dimensions on it, and here is our accurately placed base. The next step might be to go to Google Earth and to capture an image of the site, and I've done that, and to scale the image correctly so it reads correctly. Remember, we were working in decimal feet when we set out that base plan. My Google Earth gives me a 50 meter scale on this plan, so I've scaled it. 50 meters is 164.04, and I've scaled the image So now if I use the distance command, we should get very close to 164.04, and there it's very, very close. So I'm happy that the Google Earth images scale correctly, and now we pick our base plan accurately done and try and place it on the site. North is straight up here, and north, a little bit hard to see, it's straight up here, so we should, in theory, be able to place that base plan accurately on the site. Now the Google Earth image looks to me to be a little bit twisted. See how the footpath here moves off to the left, but I've made my best guess of planting it, and you can see the site is covered in a number of trees of different species, no doubt based on the different density of the canopy. So we're now in a position to start thinking about what the users of this site want to do. Start getting a wetland area indicated and potentially a building or two on the site, and we want to do it accurately. So our base plan is accurate. The Google Earth plan underneath is sort of accurate, but if we're going to, for the sake of argument, put a building in this area here, we need to size the building. We would draw a rectangle and pop it down like so, and we select the rectangle. We can adjust it to whatever size we want. Let's imagine it's 30 foot by 20 foot building, and the building then sits in that position. But we'll be able to measure, hopefully from, say, the boundary here to that corner, and GCAD Plus gives you the ability to put linear dimensions in, and we can put a dimension in, but we could certainly easily measure the distance now from this corner perpendicular to that side boundary, and that comes 11.32. So we can measure, we might want to adjust the position of the rectangle, but the rectangle is going to be accurate, so too is the base plan. Anything else that we put on here, like the dimensions of a wetland, setback allowances for council and so on, are going to be rather approximate. We'd want to include in the drawing here a scale bar, and we can do that by going to blocks and add from another file, and I'll go to GardenCAD Master and to Imperial and blocks and details and scale bars. We probably want a 20-foot scale bar. Let's grab this one, which has got the north indicator in it as well, and we'll pop that in model space, insert it into the drawing, and it sits here. In fact, we can pop it there, and what we now want to do, if I zoom in on, you can see there's our north indicator. Let's break it up, so explode, and then pick that, whoops, we want to pick the north indicator, and I can do that by wrapping a box around it, and we can get its angle and change its angle to north. I still have to remove some other objects. So this is the one we want to turn, so I can rotate that indicator and specify it running north. We pick up that line and look at it, it's 270.7, so its point, we need to just change and rotate that about the midpoint by minus 0.3, and we should have a nice straight line. Let's now look at what we can let's now look at a layout. Format, layout, new. Let's put it on an architectural C size sheet, and we'll go to landscape view and we'll go OK, and here we are. We can zoom extents, and the bit we're interested in is double click here and bring this magenta box down so that we cover the site and display that on the layout. So you can see, I'll take the grid off. What we might want to do is move that slightly in position, or excuse me, change its color. So I'll go back into model space and once again get that, and we'll change the color to, I'm going to change that to by layer, and I think if we then go into our layout, what I'm hoping for is to see that there. Of course there it is, but by layer as a colour is not what we want in this case, because we want to see it against a dark background. Let's go back into the model and pick it again. Just for the moment I'm going to change the colour to white, and let's go back into our layout. So there's our scale bar, our north indicator, and we're beginning to build a picture of this site and the future development of the site. We might put in some symbols corresponding to some of the major trees in this zone.